Say what? Say what radio show. With no agenda. It's always a surprise. But if we're not having fun, we're doing something wrong. Saturdays, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 5 Pacific. Produced by Nancy L. Hopkins at CosmicRealityRadio.com. On HaggieShackRadio at HaggieShack.com. Say what?
Okay, we're live. Is everybody there? Hello? We just lost.
Hello.
We lost Lee again.
I'm here.
Hi, Christia. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. How about yourself?
Good. Okay. All right. Just let me do a couple of things here. I have to think about this stuff, and then I have to start it up again. Okay. All right. So we had Lee, but she dropped out, I guess. All right. Let's just give this a minute. We'll introduce the show, and you guys can help me out here. It's Dolly's still here, maybe. Are you there, Dolly? Annette is here. Yes, Annette's here. Yes, Annette. Hello. Yes. And Christia Cummings-Slack is here. So, how are you guys? This is the Say What show. It is April 8th, 2017, and it's a Saturday. So I appreciate you guys being here. I really do. Christia, you want to start off? How you doing? I know you're out in the garden all day. Are you okay?
Yeah. We just, today was a cool day for us, and it's like.
Okay.
Today, in the sun, sitting in the living room, and the light coming through is beautiful because the sun's getting ready to set, and the light is coming right through the crystals in the windows. So my whole ceiling is filled with rainbows.
Reminds me of the movie Pollyanna.
What was that, Annette?
I said it reminds me of the movie Pollyanna, where she goes in and she helps this older guy who's always gruff, and nobody liked him because he was always such.
Did I lose you?
No, I can hear you. Annette's talking. Can you not hear Annette? Christia?
Maybe she can't hear us at all.
Okay. Let me reset this call, okay? I'm going to hang up, and we will reset the call. All right. Sorry about that. Let's get it done.
Hello?
Hey, Dolly.
Oops.
Dolly.
Oh, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Yes. I couldn't get. I started with Christia, hoping that I'd get her up first, but she didn't come through. So I'm going to add Annette now.
Okay.
And we'll see what the heck is happening. Annette's getting added to the call.
I thought you were saying Annette's getting attitude, and I was going to say she always has attitude.
No, added to the call. All right. Now I'm going to.
No attitude.
No attitude. Adding Christia back, hopefully. Well, it's going to be interesting if we can only connect to people in Florida. We just were talking to somebody in Thailand. Well, Christia's not coming through either. All right. Weird. Because, she's in... Where the heck is she?
Georgia. Is she Georgia?
Lee's in Georgia. Let's try putting Lee on.
Well, it looks like Christia's on now.
No, she just... It's a hang-up. Didn't answer the phone.
Well, I see her picture. That's all.
I don't see her picture.
All right, this is going to be very weird if we can't get L.G. Brown in and Christia.
Oh, yeah?
Are you there?
Hello, lovely. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, thank goodness.
Hey, Lee.
Hi, lovely.
Trying
to find the link to 6:30 is the right time, right?
Huh?
6 o'clock.
It was 6 o'clock. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, where you been? We've been sitting here waiting for you for 10 minutes.
Oh, I don't think so, lady. I can't imagine y'all just sitting on your hands waiting.
You know us too well.
I don't know what in the world made me think 6:30, so... But here I am.
Good. We're glad. She's trying to get Christia Cummings on, too. I don't know if we're even live on air.
Yes, we are.
Oh, hey! Hi, everybody. Welcome to the back room.
That's right.
Okay. You guys talk. I'm trying to pull up Christia.
And
I'm excited to hear your news, Lee.
Me too.
Hello?
Can you hear
There
me?
she is. Okay, excellent. Christia, can you hear us now?
Hello, Christia.
Christia?
Hello.
Uh-oh.
Maybe you
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, but can you hear us? Apparently not. That's weird.
Maybe she needs to unplug and replug her her mic.
Well, her earphones.
Earphones, yeah.
I'm trying to tell her that. Where am I?
You did it. Maybe you need to unplug and yeah, you got it in there. Don't worry. She's typing back now.
Oh, cool.
Let me log out again. Okay, she's gonna log out again. Okay.
Okie dokie.
Bummer. All right, so now we have to put ourselves in a blue bubble that's surrounded by a gold bubble, that's surrounded by a platinum bubble, surrounded by an amethyst bubble, and just let it expand out to everybody connected to this radio station right now, and Haggie Shack, so that we can do some good work. Dolly, your mic is open, and I don't know what you're doing.
I'm eating. I'm sorry. I'm going to mute.
Okay. Lee, how are you today? We're so glad you got on.
Yeah. I said, I guess I better put my oxygen back on because that brain cell wasn't firing. I said I was in my head thinking 6:30. I was rousting people out the door and had other folks saying they were coming in, and I didn't even get to them to tell them, no, they're not. Oh, my goodness. Yes, I'm a happy girl. I'm a happy girl. I recommend oxygen to everybody. Oxygen rounds for everybody.
Mom's been wanting oxygen rounds. The doctor won't give it to her. They say her oxygen levels are just fine, and she keeps saying, I swear I need a shot of oxygen.
Well, I'm just sorry about that, girl.
Hello?
Okay.
Hi, Christia.
Have we got Christia? Is that who we're hearing?
Maybe.
Can you hear us, Christia?
Yes.
Can you hear us? You must have some kind of a headphone problem, something, because we've got a signal. We're hearing you fine. Well, when you're talking.
Yeah, but if she can't hear you, she didn't hear a thing you said.
Well, that's true. Okay, all right, okay, headphones must be you as we can hear you. Fine, I guess you'll figure it out.
I know what's going on. My sound wasn't up.
Okay, great.
I have done that so many times, Christia.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. Lee thought this was going to start in a half an hour, and you forgot to turn your stuff on, and so it's just a typical show, actually. There are no problems here.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yes, and I apologize. I'm so crazy.
No. What you missed was Lee Brown toting that oxygen is a very nice thing to have.
Oh, yes, it is a very good thing.
It's a lovely, lovely, lovely thing, and I would say that I'm chagrined. This is the first time I've come in all slackardly too, but this new format. I mean, Dolly snags me up. It used to snag me at what time was that? 2 or 4 or something.
4 o'clock, yeah, 4 o'clock.
So
to 6.
Now we're at 6.
And I want to snag you again.
Well, we'll do some snagging for sure.
How about next week?
It's been an eventful little bit of time. Next week, if I've got my levels all sorted out, I'm supposed to go do some private session work at Elysium Cottage, but I will double check, and you and I will speak later.
Okay.
Lee, do you know Christia? Have you guys ever met before?
I don't. She sounds very familiar. Her name looks familiar. When I hear her voice, it sounds familiar. But I'm not 100% sure.
Because I wasn't. I'm going like, if they met, you know? So we don't, maybe not here, but someplace.
Well, you met tonight.
Yeah, there you go. You now are officially met. I'm sorry to interrupt. It just was like confusing me. Go on, please.
So, Lee, why are you on oxygen, and what are you going to be doing? Why are you doing this lithium, whatever it is? You need to explain that, too.
Elysium. Well, you know, for about a year now, I've been battling some green mung in my lung, and everything else, of course, with healers is more important than tending to their own business.
Of course.
And I was noticing things like I couldn't go up the steps without having to sit down and take a breath, or, you know, things like that. It was getting old, and when I went to Baltimore, I got whacked pretty hard with the green lung, as I love to refer to it. And then when I got back, I got whacked again with it. And I thought, this is getting old. So I carried my little cell phone over to the doctor, and I said, you know, this is getting old. And so she hit me with some big old antibiotics and steroids, which I'm not a fan of any of those things. I'm sure they're very helpful, but my body's not used to that kind of stuff. And that helped. She said, you're going to feel great in about a week. And I thought, that's a good idea. And a week went by, and I felt better. And then 10 days went by, and I felt worse. And I thought, this doesn't work. I tried to get into the doctor, and something screwy was going on in their office, and nobody got back with me. And then I finally put my foot down a little, but still I didn't get any results. So I was supposed to go out to Synchronicity and do readings and such. And I thought, nope, I don't really feel up to this. And I'm putting my foot down. I went to the urgent care. And I get to the urgent care, and I'm skipping some boring parts. But she went ahead and threw me in the X-ray machine, and the ambulance was waiting when I got out.
Oh my gosh!
So it was lovely. I don't want anybody to fret or frown, because it has been the most lovely experience you can imagine. From get to go, I have had amazing women, I'm going to say, because there were very few fellows involved in the adventure. I've had amazing women come out of the woodwork to get my lung mum to mind itself. And they put all kinds of, you know, the antibiotics and all of that up in my arm, and they just kept just fussing with me and making me better. And hospitals, I end up visiting in them a bit with several folks in my lives, and they're difficult for an empath. Some of you can attest. But it turned out somehow I got put in the women's overflow wing. And it is attached to the baby birthing place. And there were just all RNs around me and LPNs, and though aides are wonderful, I never saw an aide. I saw a couple of, respiratory techs that were amazing. I was given all sorts of wonderful new toys to play with, to exercise my lungs, and it's just an amazing experience. And some of my friends say maybe I need to turn down my oxygen. I'm having too much fun. But I think they're wrong. And I have not turned up my oxygen. I just leave it where they put it. It's been a wonderful experience on so many levels. I got some pretty darn good health stuff this year through the Obama thing. I don't care what anybody says or thinks about it. I'm just telling you my thing. Last year I spent a fortune out my butt for it and didn't get a blessed bit of care. And this year I got this, what I would think is a very affordable with a very low out of pocket. So I'm not scared of any of that. I mean, it'll take a minute, but I'm not running fearful into the night. And as I said, the experience itself has been wonderful. That not just mine, but of everybody that interacted with me too. There's not one person on that floor that works on that floor that doesn't have a Bucky Band-Aid in their phone now. We talked Shungite because this prednisone, this steroid, tends to keep your mind going, And they would be bored in the middle of the night, and they'd come on in, and we'd talk about alternative healing and Shungite and metaphysics and all kinds of things. And it's one of those situations where it seemed like I was in there forever, and it seemed like I was in there for a moment. My favorite thing in the room was there was a big wall poster that said at the top, "It's all about me." And it had these different areas you could fill in that you like or that you do or whatever. But they wouldn't give me the dry erase marker. They were afraid of some of the things I might fill in when they weren't looking. So it was just, like I said, it was just a wonderful healing experience. And I didn't see any dead people wandering the hallways, which sometimes happens in hospitals, and there wasn't, even the whole of the experience was harmonious. I never picked up a lick of disharmony between any of the people working there. It was just such a massive blessing. I get around and say, if I found any more ponies in this thing, Cynthia'd have to build me a shed out back to keep them in. But it appears that, having said a few things to my mother during the situation, she said, when you were born, they said you were always going to have lung issues. And I thought, you might want to tell me that then. And then a lot of the damage that has been done to my lungs is actually from scar tissue because of having had pneumonia so many times as a child. It was illness and disease that had led me towards, moving into alternative healing and adjunct healings, as they like to call it now. And, I have that twisted in my spine that puts pressure on my lungs. And the whole thing just went on and on and on. And I just thought to myself, and you guys bitch about me smoking, I mean, let's just talk about some of this other crap nobody's bothered to mention over the years to me.
Well, we love you. That's why we complain about it.
I'll just say it's just I was really talking about the medical people, not y'all. I can ignore y'allies, because you love me. I'm not sure. But as I said, the experience was wonderful and amazing, and I bring it up for a few reasons. One of the reasons is that I have a little bit of, oh my gosh, I'm feeling so much better guilt. because I was talking with another healer last night, and I'll tell you, I hope to God she got herself into Grady or somewhere today, because she was in far worse shape than I was in, and without any insurance or anything else to give her any kind of buffer to get her in anywhere. But I'm not sure where the rule is everywhere, but here in Georgia we do have a certain amount of protection for folks who are in that situation. And I just know that some of the basic things that I have, she didn't even have available to her to try to take care of herself. And so I spent a couple of hours last night trying to line her up to get her care. And it really set me to thinking about the many wonderful healers I've known over the years who, much like myself, will do everything they can think of alternatively and do reasonably well at it, or if not very, very well at it, for quite a while. And then sometimes you have to get thrown into this dang system because something is so far out of whack. Nancy and I spoke the other day about, she brought up about the thing where there's a lot of grief being released, and the lungs do have a lot to do with grief. And so we traveled along that journey a bit. Nancy and I are usually good ones for passing along information to each other on various holistic or more holistic healing techniques than one might gather from a hospital. So this has been a wonderful experience. To go sideways for a moment, because I kind of lost my train of thought coming in not on time. A funny little story I wanted to tell on myself was here at the house about some shungite. Beyond just talking it to these folks there, and the oxygen people. By the way, I've got shungite in my humidifier on my oxygen machine, and even on my dry tank for the humidifier, I've got shungite in the dry tank, so that if it wants to do its job, I'm perfectly open to it coming straight into the lungs through the oxygen machine.
No wonder you're on such a high.
Now I'll tell you, I had the oxygen buds in the hospital. I didn't have any shungite to put into their machines. I don't know if they'd have let me do anything to their machines, actually.
Probably
but they
not.
got no control over what I do at home once they leave the machine here. Under our vents here at the house, I keep the clear plastic shoe boxes, and I keep them filled with water every winter. And last winter I started putting shungite in. Didn't pay it a lot of close attention, but I guess the day before yesterday, I looked at it and I thought, there's not very much water in there. I wonder how long that's been just sitting under that vent, So I reached to grab the thing to bring it out so I could take it out and clean it and get it all ready and fill it up again. And of course, water splashed everywhere. And I was ready to just do that, ooh, gross, ooh. But I looked down, and it was the cleanest water. It was so clean, I was actually tempted to take a drink of this water. Now, truly, that sounds gross as I'm saying it out loud, but that's how clear the shungite is keeping the water that is under my vents to help keep moisture in the air in my duplex. I was astonished. I'm still astonished. I had asked Karen when she came home, I'd asked her if she'd cleaned the water things lately. She says, I don't even think I've looked at them since long before you went in the hospital. And so it's 2 weeks tonight. 2 weeks now is when they were putting me in an ambulance. And so if she hadn't done it for a couple of weeks before that, it's just astonishing to me. So it's at least a month that water has been capturing dust and airborne whatever out of the vents and releasing water into the room. And it is as clear as a clear lake or a creek, and just as clean as you just wouldn't imagine. I've seen shungite be pretty amazing, but this floored me.
Well, thank you for sharing that. We had another weird shungite story. It's a long story, but there was a snake that was very sick because the guy got some bad information and he had turned up the heat, and this poor snake was basically cooking. And 5 o'clock in the morning, he's freaking out, and he calls, I think it was his mother-in-law, and she said, "You've got a piece of shungite in the cage," because she had put it there. It was river shungite, and if you haven't felt river shungite, you'll really enjoy it. But anyway, she said, get the shungite and put the snake around the shungite. So they did. Long story short, the snake came back. They got him to the vet the next day, and he was extremely dehydrated because he'd been cooking. But he's going to survive. And it was just putting it on the shungite. And she said, "Thank God he called me." I mean, so we don't know the true limitations of it, if it has any. But thank you so much for sharing that. I know that people say that they don't get. Somebody's doing something with their mic. I don't know what.
Not me.
I don't think it's me. The showers, when you got shungite on the water pipes, they say that they don't get mildewy or that calcium buildup either. So
I have a shungite story.
Okay.
I put those 3 nuggets on my water coming into the house, and I took them off because the buyers were having a fit about the tape being around the pipe outside. They thought it was leaking, and I taped it up. And so I told them what I did, but anyway, I took it off. Ever since I did that, I keep saying, why is this water so awful? It tastes awful. I forgot I took the shungite off. And before I took the shungite off, the water was wonderful. Since I have taken the shungite off, that water coming in the house, the water is horrible. It makes a difference.
Awesome. Thank you. I know that I drink the water, and I'm like, I get into this head trip of, oh, thank you, because to me it's like the most marvelous thing I've ever drank. And I just sort of like, hope that everybody gets the opportunity to get a piece of shungite in their water, because it's an experience that is really profound. How this piece of rock can do this stuff.
Well, I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't experience it.
Yeah.
But holy cow, it makes a big difference. And like you said, the shower doesn't get the mildew. I haven't had mildew in my shower at all. And in Florida, that happens.
And my shower curtain has not gotten any kind of mold or gunkiness
at all. Right, yeah.
That's interesting. Anyway, Christia, you had said a couple of things in the messaging. I don't know, Lee, did you read what she wrote in the messages on Skype?
No, like I said, I was too busy being astonished that it was 6 and not 6:30. I'm still feeling chagrined. So I'm bated breath. Well, not really. I'm turning on my machine.
She's suggesting, and I'm going to let her talk to you if you want to talk to her, but she is picking up on past lifetimes that has developed this weakness in your lungs, and I don't know if you two want to talk about that.
Sounds interesting. I mean, when I consider the idea, like I said, Mother finally, it would be so nice if folks would tell us things. I think partly it is they just kind of take it in and let it go. Of course, I think she had just given birth or something. Nah, it wasn't right away, I don't think. But anyway, I said to her, Mom, why didn't you think to tell me this before? But since I came in wanting to leave, my suspicions are that there were a couple of ones that I remembered as I was coming in that I went, I don't think so. So maybe this is one you're picking up on, Christia. It wouldn't hurt me to know about. Maybe I can release those contracts or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, when you were talking, I just was seeing past life. At first I wrote Lee brought all this lung stuff in from a past life. Then I was like, grief. And then I was like, oh, she came onto the planet with it. And then when I was tapping into it, it was actually several past lives. And then where are you in Georgia? I'm in Savannah.
Atlanta, but I did lifetimes in Savannah.
I have a feeling we've met somewhere before. Anyway, so,
Julie and Lo and I were buddies.
So I felt like, and when the first past life felt like, you know, when people were gassed, it felt like, like you died in a gas chamber, and that was your immediate past life. And so taking a fresh breath in, like actually being able to breathe deep and breathe fresh was, that little baby that came in struggled because I really believe that the trauma, you came out of trauma, from that past life into this life, and that trauma was trapped in your DNA. Also, after I tapped into it, it felt like there were other lifetimes where you experienced breathing or lung issues. And I think that is the area of your, you know, I feel like everybody has an area of their body that is kind of like, you know, their issue, you know. And I definitely feel like the lung, the heart, the lung, grief, is where you carry some of your stuff. And so talking to your lungs, talking to your body, the little person in you, the inner child that came into the planet in this lifetime, carrying that, soothing that, doing things to soothe and bring peace. And, you know, this lifetime for us all is, you know, we're here to clear stuff. So we all have, everybody on the planet has things from other lifetimes that they're clearing in this lifetime. Yours just happened to be the lung. So yeah. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Lee, are you muted?
I'm here. I didn't know if we were mid-sentence or not. But yeah, I'm lung. It turns out, I said that was another part that Mother filled in. And I know that growing up, but some of the other doctor visits and things always stick with me more than the breathing situations. And I said, I'm always still grateful to the doctor that said, thank God you smoke. It's the only time you breathe. And the other one that, you know, she knew the seasons by me coming in with pneumonia. So yeah, lungs seem to be a big key this lifetime. Big key. But gratefully, and this is what one of the nurses said to me, she said, you used to perform or sing or something. And I said, yeah. She says, well, you learned to breathe with your diaphragm instead of your lungs. That's what's saving you. So it's if you hear people tell it was kind of a close call. But then I listened to the oxygen guy, and he says that you won't die in your sleep if you don't have your oxygen. It'll just wake you up, and you need to get your oxygen back. So I intend to continue to enjoy this experience and to find all the ponies in it I can, and we'll see where the outcome goes. You know, they say you can't have a testimony without a test. I've had several good testimonies. I'll take this as another one. So, anyway, I will add more of the metaphysical to it for the releasing and clearing. Now that the oxygen's getting to those brain cells, but it does prove that you can do a whole lot with very little. But at some point you got to have something. So, and there was a third tale Oh, I know the folks, the rest of y'all are familiar with Christia's work, but I'm curious to know what Christia does there in Savannah. Does she work similar to what I do, or is she engaged in the metaphysical aspects there?
She's our angel lady.
She's the one that got you guys on the angel journey.
She made the angel cards.
Okay.
And she's just one of the most really down-to-earth and grounded people, and we always have a good time with her because she passes on energies and information that is... you always feel better after she's been on the show. Is what I think. So, but what? Go ahead, Doll.
She's the one that taught me that we each have more angels than can fit in a football stadium.
Yes.
And I remember that, and I share that.
And she doesn't listen because she's been freaking about the move and not trusting the angels. I'm just saying.
She's right.
You need to stop, and I've been saying it for a while now.
Yeah.
They're taking care of everything. They got me my new job. They got the timing down. You're good to go.
Yeah.
But Christia, she does a lot more than what we just said. So why don't you just give Lee a little background on yourself? And if you don't know Lee, she can give you a little background on herself.
Okay. Well, I have my bachelor's and master's in fine arts and painting, and that's how I came to Spirit, was through my art. Let's see. On a daily basis, I'm a spiritual life coach. That's how I keep the lights on. And doing in the coaching session, I'll do readings and energy healing. So it's a combo. And sell my artwork. That's the major part, but I've got it in the last 3 years. I've been doing crochet, and I'm into crochet at the moment, and painting as extra. And but I just really enjoy helping people and channeling messages for people, and I know that I'm here to help people. And I understand, Dolly, when you're 3D human, it's hard sometimes when you got a lot going on. And that's right, they got you. Everything's gonna be okay. So yeah, that's me.
I think when you were first on, I went and peeked at your website or something, and I felt like what you were saying. I felt quite a commonality between the two. Dolly, I wanted to tease you a little bit. You know, I don't know if we talked about my spirit guide that likes to play word search puzzles when I'm in the bathroom.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants these big lofty things. Mine like to play. I have one who plays word search puzzles, and so maybe that would be a thing you could ask for, because when I got home from the hospital and all, and I finally had my own toilet to sit on. Thank you, Jesus. Come on now, everybody, be honest. You know you like your own toilet best.
I understand that, yes.
Everybody likes their own toilet best. And I had the door shut, and I sat down, and there's the word search puzzle, and I wasn't focused enough to actually do much of anything, but I picked it up, and all of a sudden I had circled, 20 or 30 of them. Almost the page was done. And I thought, you know, sometimes you forget they got your back. No matter what, they got your back.
It's not that I forget. I know this. So I don't understand. Why the heck am I stressing myself? I don't understand.
Force of habit. Force of habit.
Yeah. It's the human. It's the human. It's the 3 lower chakras, honey. It's the 3 lower chakras.
Oh.
And so the easiest thing to do is to ground your light.
You're right.
And get in the present moment. But it's those 3 lower chakras that get all off kilter. So when you get really, kind of freaky outy, you got to ground your light and and check that root chakra.
Yeah, you're right. I do need to ground. I preach it, but I don't practice it.
Go sit naked in the dirt. Hug a tree.
Hey, don't tempt me.
We're moving. Go ahead.
What are they going to do? You're moving.
Throw my naked butt in the jail before I move.
You're going to have to break in a whole lot of new people if you're crazy.
Oh, I am. Yes. Mm-hmm.
It'll be fun.
It will.
Nancy, this is one of the things that came up that troubled me this week. And actually I found out about it from the same gal that is having a real tough time last night. Years and years ago, when we started the Psychic Lines, I got to be a part of starting that stuff up. And readers agreed to do that kind of work, to be available to people who were waking up and also to people who needed help. And over the years, the lines have become what they've become. We're not going to dwell on that today. But I'd always kept my hand in it. It was once again a way to keep the lights on. And in the last several months, since I've not been with the lines, I've been asked to do several of the different psychic fairs that are here in the Atlanta area. And a couple of months back, I went and did one and was very surprised at the end of it when they said that I didn't tell anyone ahead of time, but they said they don't pay right away. That the check would come in the mail in 2 to 3 weeks, which I thought was a little usurious. And then in this conversation, of course, the next month the place got flooded out and they weren't able to do it at all, which I thought was sort of universal retribution for making me wait 3 weeks for a check. Because most people that do this work, the bills are waiting before the check comes in. But last night I heard of one of the light centers, and this is one of the reasons I've stayed away from some of the light centers. One of the light centers does what they call auditions for readers now. And they have people who want to work these fairs do 7-hour shifts on a Saturday. And they don't pay them anything for the 7 hours that they're doing readings. They still charge people for the readings. They charge them a reduced fee because these are not quote unquote proven readers by them. But they still charge them. And then they have the people fill out forms after their reading to say, check off different things that they liked or didn't like or whatever. And on top of that, they encourage the readers to have their friends come and get readings with them. So they'll get good ratings so that they may be one of the 2 readers who will be chosen to be one of their readers on their monthly reading things.
Wow, that's a scam.
I was stunned.
That's such a scam.
When she told me that, I was stunned.
That's such a scam.
2 levels. Her I was very proud of because she called and said, no, thank you. And they said, well, we want you. She actually went, but when they called, she said, no, thank you, because this is wrong. This is so completely wrong. And, but these different businesses are getting away with this. And this, for me, was part of the problem with the lines. The people that were doing them, I mean, the money people, they were focused on the money, but when they were first started, the people that were doing them with a clean heart and to work with the program. And now it's become this corporate thing. And I say that I'm afraid this one light center is going to get a piece of my mind because I've known them way too long and never began to imagine they were doing this. There's this advantage that's being taken. I mean, like yourself, I mean, this is why I'm on the planet. if I have to scrub a toilet to pay a bill, I'll do it. But my job on the planet is to help. And, I don't have that master's, but my degrees are all in art and design too, with some psychology and other things thrown in. I always thought I'd go back for that degree, but life got in the way of that foolishness. It's why I'm on the planet. I could no more not help than I could not breathe, which I'm learning to do differently. But and this is true. A lot of these people that want to be able to, hone their craft, develop their craft, be of service on the planet. And this is how they're being taken advantage of. And they think this is normal. Because there's no frameworks.
Right, there's nothing to compare it to. It's like people are waking up and they want to help at any cost, and these people are taking advantage of these people that are wanting to learn and genuinely help people. That's just wrong on so many levels. Ethically, it's wrong, and spiritually, it's wrong. They're reaping some karma.
And that's so sad when we need these centers. I mean, I thought this foolishness had gotten basically resolved quite a while back when I used to play Jesus and the Money Changers with the Crystal people. But now to hear that, this is a center that's been around a while. And these people should know better. I mean, I don't know.
So they have sold out for money. Because each person you said that they bring in, they want them to bring their friends in. Well, their friends are going to spend money, and then their friends are going to talk to other people, and other people will come in and spend their money. This is a freaking money scam. It's not right.
Well, yeah.
My guess is that there's new people running the center, and they're not ethically balanced or spiritually balanced at all. That's my guess.
Sadly, though, your guess is incorrect.
Oh, really?
I had that same thought, Christy. I had the same thought because I called him out by name, and she said, "Yeah, that's who it is."
That's thought, even worse.
We go back 15 years, these two and I.
Wow.
And it was just devastating to me that they've gotten that. I mean, I know it's difficult to keep a center open. I mean, it does. I guess it doesn't have to be, but the centers that have lasted are the ones that have put, they've made business first, spirit second. The ones that are in Atlanta. And sadly, the people that find those, that's their first impression, but they don't know the difference. Then there needs to be a shakeup.
Yeah, sure does. Well, I'm sure Spirit will bring it.
I'm thinking Lee is the shaker-upper.
I'm thinking Lee can almost not stand herself. Lee may have to make a stealth visit to go speak with Sherry and John, yeah.
I think you need to go speak your truth. Be the light, brother.
If it hadn't been for the place being flooded up and me ended up in the hospital, I'd have spoken some truth at that.
Lee, did you cut out? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I can.
hear you.
I can hear you.
Lee? Okay. Yeah, she dropped out. Okay. Let me see if I can get her back in. But that whole concept of what happens out there when you got a good idea, there's always seems to be somebody who's gonna screw it up. They just go to the money side. And I don't know
it's
what
sad when that
you know,
happens.
I don't know
so
what it
sad.
is. You know, you back, Lee? Not yet.
I saw her come back on in Skype.
Yeah, I did too. She must have got dropped right out of Skype. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Whoops, cat. I just kicked the cat. Yeah, because I've been noticing, well, I remember when we were in the 60s, and we were always looking for somebody who was going to lead us into some kind of a, you know, you're looking for a guru or somebody who's going to teach you. And, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of the way I kept looking for it. Reading all these books, hoping you were going to find some messiah that would just give you the short answer to it, and you'd go, oh, okay, and you'd be happy for the rest of your life. It got a little more than that. You know what I'm saying?
It went away.
You did go away, and now you're back.
Am I
again.
back?
Yes, you're back.
You're
Can
back.
you hear us? Can you hear us? Lee, you might not be here. Are you here? We can't hear you. You're gone again. Yeah, she's having an internet thingy. But and I don't know if all young people just look for that, or whether it was my generation or what it was. But at some point I realized, and not so very long ago, that it's unlikely that you're gonna find somebody that's got all the answers. And as far as the older I get, the more I'm going like, yeah, nobody's got the answers. It's almost like you got to figure it out while you're doing it, because nobody really knows. And I think they don't know because I think it keeps changing. I think every time we look at something and we go, oh, I got an aha moment, all of a sudden it changes again.
I agree with that.
Annette, what you got to say about it? Did you fall asleep?
No, I didn't fall asleep. I think people just get really greedy, and they may start out with really good intentions and don't get everything they think they want, and the only way to get it is money, usually. I mean, I got a brother that, God love him, he's doing better, but everything always seems to come back to money with him. And what he's searching for, he thinks is given to him by money, but I think he needs to learn how to love himself as he is, and I think he has a problem with that. So I don't know if that's along the lines of what you're talking about, but I think that's what people search for, is how to love themselves so they can love everybody else and find the peace that they're looking for. But I think it all starts with the person themselves.
I think you're right in that.
Oh, thank you. I like to hear I'm right. You can tell me that all day long.
She is obnoxious about that.
I am. I admit it. My brother has his issues. I have mine, and that's one of them. I have to be right.
Oh, we all got issues. That's why we're on the planet. We're working.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody can be perfect like me.
Yeah. Perfect like you.
Yeah.
We're all working it out. It's okay. It's all right.
I think the first thing that makes it okay is you don't take yourself seriously, but you put yourself into the category of the most important person in my life.
Right.
It's like, it sounds contradictory, but it to me it's the way that you get through life without any real drama and without any real angst, because it's like, oh well, we're not taking this seriously anyway, and I'm doing it. I'm the one that's doing this, and as long as I'm having fun, I'm going to be comfortable with what I'm doing. It's the people that aren't having fun that, go through the, oh my God, life is terrible thing. And that's the key, is how do we make the differentiation? It would be, again, back to the leader. It would be really nice to say, well, just follow Jesus, or just follow Buddha, or just follow, anybody that, and they'll give you that's not the way it works. Because we're so special, we're so individual. That every individual person is somebody. What's happening?
Annette, are you talking in the background?
No, it's not me.
Christia. Anyway,
I mute myself when I'm not talking.
Lee Brown, are you back? Okay. She's pictured up there, but I don't hear her talking.
Maybe she doesn't know
is she muted? Back. Is she muted? She might not know she's back. That's true. I've seen this Skype do it. She's gone again. I've seen this Skype do some weird things. Anyway, we're at the top of the hour, so we're going to take a break here. I'll try to get Lee back in, and I'll see you guys all. Well, I don't even know what have I got up here. I got to look at this thing here. Okay, it's about. Well, you want a long one? You want 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes, or you want a 7-minute one? And we can just come back and I'll stop it when we're all back.
Yeah, do a 7-minute one. I gotta go potty, and that's clear over there.
Okay.
And I'm gonna beat her.
Okay, we're gonna do 7 minutes, but we'll be back when we get here. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll be right back. And we are back. Colleen is not here because she doesn't want to be. She wants a day off.
Well, I guess we'll let her have a day off.
Well, Lee tried a couple more times. I don't know. I told her to reboot the computer. It may be that'll fix it. We'll see. Gosh, where were we? Oh, we were talking about. Okay, I'll tell you what I want to talk about. Christia, did you hear any of Dolly's interview with the monk from Thailand?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Oh, Dolly, that was just he was so marvelous.
He was. It was great. I wondered, well, what am I going to ask a monk? But heck, he's just a person.
And what an interesting life. He's a Canadian, Christia. And he, was depicting basically how most of us are kind of lost. You really don't know where you're at. Until he came into the environment of the Buddhist environment. And he was feeling so comfortable, like this was home, like there was family, even maybe past incarnation memories coming through. And Dolly asked him, did this affect your, because it profoundly affected him, did your wife pick up on this? And he honestly said, yes, I think she thought it might be an out to the marriage. He said, but it took 20 years before the boys were grown up, and his wife and he had probably gone apart some, but he was so drawn to the monastery concept that what did he say, he was 47 when he
yeah.
went in?
Yeah, he's had so many lifetimes as a monk. Not just Tibetan. He has had many, many, many lifetimes of selfless service to God. I mean,
how do you know that?
I just see it.
Oh.
I don't know how I know.
I mean, you said that so fast, and you didn't hear the conversation.
No, I have an ability that when people talk about other people, it's very easy for me to tap in and feel them. It's almost easier for me to read other people than the people right in front of me. If people have fear of readings or fear of, because the people in front of you kind of put up a wall, energetic wall. Mm-hmm. But it's very, I do a lot of consults for doctors and alternative therapy people because they don't even have to tell me the name of the patient or the person. I can just pick up what's going on. I work with an acupuncture actually in New York, and she'll call me and she'll say, I have this new fertility client, and I'll say, I just rattle off all this stuff, and she'll say, yep, that's right. So So I don't know how I do it. It's easy. It's really easy.
Now, when you're doing it, Christia, you don't feel like you need the permission from the person you're reading?
Well, it's been my prayer since '95 that I be a clear channel of God. So if they don't want me to see it, I wouldn't. If I wasn't supposed to see it, I wouldn't see it. And I don't ever see what I would label oogly booglies. I don't necessarily see all the dark stuff, but I can easily see the light. Easily. And that leads me in.
And it seems that you also see their past lifetime connections. It's like that's kind of something that you just kind of like, oh yeah, and you were this and this and this.
Yeah, it's real easy. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
That's interesting. Because I get flashes of people in other lifetimes, but they're just flashes. Some people, when I've been with them for a while, all of a sudden I'll start to have really kind of like prolonged memories. Oh, I remember doing that, and I remember doing this with this person. But only when they've become close, It's like, I don't think that it's much of my business otherwise, because I do the same thing. I get a feeling for somebody, and I can be dead wrong. Because it's almost like I read everybody's good side, and then find out, oh my God, there was that other side. I never even saw it.
I've been there.
Yeah. And then when I do see somebody that is putting out, I'm not resonating with them, I'm kind of concerned about the fact that I don't even like their energy, that something's wrong here. And then I get paranoid. Am I somehow doing this because of something else? I don't. When I see the dark side, when I'm picking up on the dark side, I sort of want to dismiss it. If I see good, I'm like, oh yeah, they're good. I get right behind that. But when I see the dark, it's like, oh no, maybe they're dark. I don't know. Energies are sometimes hard to read,
Right.
Because you don't know when you've had an encounter with this person in another lifetime, and that you're carrying over some kind of knowledge that is beyond who they are right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You sort of like know the old person, and who are you now?
Right.
So, and that was the other thing, is that, we could have asked Pavaro a lot of questions, because he touched on so many different subjects, but definitely reincarnation plays such a deep role in that society.
Oh, you could tell the way he talked. You could tell.
Yeah. But he gave us. This is why I found him so impressive, is that he actually gifted myself and Dolly and Walt
and his mother
and Duende, his mother, Elsa, these bracelets that are very magical, and I think that is cherry wood that I have. There was a couple of different woods, but I think it's the cherry wood. But there is one spacer bead that came from a very renowned and esteemed teacher, Buddhist monk. It was part of his prayer bead. I forget what they call it. But they're jade beads.
Mala. They call it the mala.
Mala. Thank you.
It's a mala is like the Sanskrit for rosary. A rosary has 54 beads. A mala has 108 beads, because there's 108. It's something to do with the Buddha and the teachings, and but yeah, it's 108 beads.
Well, the beads are absolutely magical. The bracelets
and the 8 extra.
You know why? You know why? Because every time that monk chanted, the energy of each of those chants went into each of those beads. So if they chanted every day for 50 years, 100 years, all that energy gets put in those beads. So it contains the frequency of that, which is powerful.
Well, interestingly enough, the person that understood that most was Annette, because she won't let anybody touch Dolly's.
Well, she's smart.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I try.
Yeah.
I'm chuckling here at the synchronicity because this week I just ordered a batch of malas in, and I'm wearing mine in the moment too.
Wow.
Yeah, I have several malas. I love them. I've chanted Sanskrit since 1997. It is powerful healing. You know, chanting is so powerful, and it is the quickest way to clear energy. It's so pure. It's so pure.
Now, when you said that you channel Sanskrit, that some of your channeling comes across in Sanskrit.
No, chanting. I've been chanting.
Oh, chanting Sanskrit. So it's actually something that you've learned, not that you're channeling.
Yeah, years ago, on 99, this book came out by Thomas Ashley Fernard. It's called Healing Mantras, Using Sound Affirmations for Personal Power, Creativity, and Healing. And it came out, I think, in 99 or 2000. And it has a book. But I studied, there was a Buddhist monk that came to Savannah back in 95. And I studied with him for a little bit, of chanting. That's how I got into it. And I started off with the Bija seed mantras, which are, the Bija seed mantras are only 1 or 2 word syllables that contain a longer chant, but only in 1 or 2 words, or 1 or 2 syllables. So they're very, very, very powerful. Like a whole mantra might be Om Shreem Namaha. Let me give you an example. Shreem would be the Bija root seed chant, and a longer chant might be Om Dum Durge Namaha, but you could use Dum, D-U-M, as the Bija root seed chant in the mala. But again, it's so much. It's like learning another language. But Sanskrit chanting is a really, really profound way to clear and heal energy. And usually when people practice a chant, they'll do it for 40 days, and they might do several malas a day, a whole mala. And that bead at the end of the mala, it has a special name. I forget the name, but it holds all of the energy. That special bead at the end. But yeah, Sanskrit chanting is incredibly powerful.
The paperwork called it the Buddha bead.
Oh yeah, it has a different name, but I forget. It has like a Sanskrit title, but I forget what it's called. I'm sure I could look it up. But
when you were studying with the monk, what did you take away? I mean, you must have taken something away. I don't believe you're a practicing Buddha. I mean, Buddhist? What is it? Buddhist? Yeah, practicing Buddhist. But you must have taken something away from your time with the monk.
Just that sound is the most easiest, powerful way to heal, and clear energy. And, when I was learning chanting and I was learning it from him, it was very rhythmic. And then I remember the first time I heard someone actually singing Sanskrit chanting, like, Diva Primal, or, Sanat Kumara, and they actually sing the chants. I cried the first time I heard someone singing a chant, because it was so different than the way I had learned, and it like opened up a whole another doorway of beauty to me. Yeah. So I took sound as a very, very powerful way to connect with God, and a very, very quick way to not only connect, but to clear energy.
Well, I mean, in the Keys of Enoch, where they were, John, what's his name? I forget now. Having a brain fart. They talk about sound and light being the future healing modality. And when I first read that, I thought, well, okay, yeah, maybe, I don't know. But then I read a report by the Russians on the DNA, the junk DNA, and that how it's 90% of the DNA is considered junk by the Western scientists. Now, that's what they tell us. I'm sure they know more than they're telling us. But the concept of the 90% of the DNA not seeming to have any mission is just bogus, because what is really happening is that it's a biological internet, and they found that the number one thing that would actually alter the DNA is the human voice. So when I heard that, it was like, well, yeah, I guess sound can be a really powerful modality of healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're freaking me out, because when I was first learning sound back in 95, 96, there was a sound healer who came to Savannah. He was English. His first name's Jeff. I can't remember his last name. Moran. Jeffrey Moran. When he first came, he brought a computer, and it had this program where you could speak. He hooked you up to all these different wires and biofeeds, and you would talk into the computer, and based on your voice, he could see if you were missing any vitamins or minerals based on the notes, if you were missing any notes in your voice. And when he heard my voice, he said, I can't wait to hook you up, because I bet you're a healer. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, let me show you. So he hooked me up to the machine, and I have all the notes in my voice. And so so my voice is healing because it's not missing any of the notes, he said. So how interesting.
So what was he doing with this? He was just going around demonstrating this, or what was he teaching out of that modality?
I think he was trying to help people. He was using mantras. He had like a whole little. He had studied with some Buddhist monks in Poland, I do believe. And he was going around. His whole thing was just helping people learn mantra. I mean, he was really kind of grassroots. He had some printouts of some paper. He had some Xerox copies of some angels. And he was really kind of grassroots. And he had this computer. And he just, was hooking people up and showing them where they were missing their notes or missing the vitamins. And then he would literally prescribe them a mantra to help them. And he was kind of he would have this little piece of, like, literally a Xerox piece of paper, paper clipped or stapled, and he would circle the mantra and he would give it to them, and that was it. That was all he was doing. And he was here with a lady that was psychic. I don't even remember her name at the time, but she had sponsored him to come here from England. And to talk to people. He was really kind of on the forefront ahead of his time, I think.
Weren't the 90s wonderful? Because in the 90s, that's when you started to. Well, I started to. I mean, of course, it's when you start getting introduced. But in the 90s, there was such a tremendous amount of influx of different modalities and different learnings. It was exciting. It was like, oh, let's try this one,
Yeah, yeah.
and you could, it was just, and there were things that you never even thought of, that would pop up. Like a dog barking. Whose dog is that? Is that yours?
It's not. We have cats.
Okay. Lee, have you got,
cats.
Is your dog barking, Lee? Somebody's dog is barking. Or else it's some etheric dog barking. But the 90s was so much fun. But now, it's like I say, it's almost like people are stuck in their stories. And I've gotten to the point, it's sort of something trending between a few of us, that it was like somebody that, David Wilcock, who I have studied, actually studied him, to know all his books, and I was talking about his theory of Antarctica, and all of a sudden I went, I don't believe the story. And it surprised me. But it just ran into the same kind of like trending theme, which is something that Gene Rockefeller heard from Jack. And what Jack was saying is that the vast majority of people who are out there with a story and presenting the story as truth are misleading. And they are, in fact, under a programming, mind control programming. 90% is what Gene thinks. And it just tickled me, because all of a sudden I'm like, okay, so most everybody that is out there talking is actually just talking a story. It's not necessarily a true story at all, but they're stuck in it. And it seemed like every time I turned around, I was finding somebody else whose story just all of a sudden didn't make any sense to me. And I had to look back about 3 weeks ago now, when we brought in the dragon energy. And, I go on Cosmic Reality, the radio show, and I figure it's my reality, and I'm just going to make things up. Everybody knows I do it. It's like, okay, so let's get dragon energy, and let's just bring it. What's dragon energy? And as soon as I asked the question, I got dragon energy. What I heard was nobody can lie to a dragon. And boy, did that make sense to me, that would be like the first layer of dragon energy, because I believe that dragons were here, that they did exist, and that they do exist, but that the dark side took the connection, the dragon energy connection, from human beings, because how else would we have been deceived if we had dragon energy? You can't lie to a dragon. So I said, well, in our reality, you were going to pull in that first layer of dragon energy, and nobody's going to be able to lie to us. And ever since I said that, right after that, there was a lot of weird things. People all of a sudden calling up other people and admitting that they had lied to them, But since then, it's like I'm seeing an unraveling of a whole lot of stories that I used to think were, I trust that person. He seems okay, And like, something is happening, and I don't know, Christia, if you can pick up on what it has to do with dragons.
It's where we are right now, darling. It's because anything that is less than love is coming up to be healed. So let's say that person really did believe their story, but their story wasn't true or wasn't based on any truth, but they really believed it. And so it's easy to believe somebody if they really believe the story. Not to mean that not to say they were not a genuine person, but anything that is less than love is coming up to be healed. Anything from our past lives, anything from our ancestral line, anything in us from any dimension is coming up to be healed, because this is the time we're living in. This is it. We're in the crucible. This is, I talk about boots on the ground, and this is it. This is what we've all been waiting for, to ascend in a physical form. This is it. This is what's going on, people. And so anything, and some days are easier than others. And the full moons and the new moons and the solar eclipses and the lunar eclipses, you know, give us those boosts of clarity and clearing. And, right now we're in a big crucible. It started in January with that new moon, partial solar eclipse. And until August the 21st, new moon, we're having a full-on, it's called the Great American Solar Eclipse. And it's going to be August the 21st, new moon. It will actually come across the whole United States from the East Coast to the West Coast. And it's the first time in a long time, I don't know how many years, or hundreds of years, where the United States will be eclipsed, full on solar eclipse. And so shadow stuff's coming up. We're all 3D, so we all got shadow, and embracing the shadow, and being okay with the shadow, bringing it up, talking about it, loving what is, embracing what is. Everybody's got something. I say everybody poops. Everybody, it's true. We all got stuff. Even if you think you're the cat's meow, I guarantee you got stuff. And I always say, if you're living and breathing in 3D, you got stuff. You got stuff, whether you're conscious of it or not. And everything's coming up to be healed. And what's happening, I think you see in the truth of people, is because things are being revealed, and things are being revealed to people, and maybe they didn't even know about their shadow dark side. Maybe they didn't even know their connection to the dark. I think a lot of people have been asleep, and they are not aware of their conscious contributing to the dark. But the beautiful thing is, people are waking up. You cannot stay asleep anymore. The light, there's too much light pouring onto the planet to stay asleep. There's too much light. There are literally millions of angels around the earth right now, holding us, sending us love. And each human has, like Dolly said, imagine a football stadium of angels. Now, if they're not consciously working with them, they're just sitting around, floating around. But if they're consciously working with them, it's amazing. It's amazing. And anybody does, angels do not belong to any form of organized religion. So you don't have to be religious. You don't even, you don't even have to really believe in them, because they believe in you. And the more you work with them, the more your belief will strengthen in them.
Well, I have found that the more that I talked with them, I can hear them talk to me. I mean, I hear them now.
Yeah, I call it practice makes the master. Because I truly believe that the more you do something, no matter what it is, you get better at it. You get better at making that toast. You get better at communicating with those angels. You get better at whatever it is that you bring your conscious awareness to. Whatever you decide to put your energy into. If you're doing it every day for several days, and then for several months and several years, you're going to get better at it no matter what it is. And you genuinely, Dolly, are an earth angel, and you genuinely have an open heart to them. So it's easy for the lines of communication to be open because you're so open to them.
Yeah, I am. And it's kind of funny because sometimes I wake up in the morning. They're waking me up and telling me stuff. And I come back, what? Who's saying what? But they stick with me until I get awake and I can listen to them.
Yeah, because they genuinely want to help you. They genuinely want to assist you. And it's part of your contract with each other. You know, you decided you come here right now, and you said, well, if I'm going to go back down there, I'm going to need some help. And they said, oh, okay, well, we'll help you.
And they are. They definitely are. My Sherry just can't get over it. Every time I talk to her, she says, Mom, it was just Thanksgiving that you just stood up and said, we're moving here. And now, since then, we're going to be doing that. I'm going to be moving with her Easter Sunday. They're coming down, and they're going to take me back to Melbourne the day after.
Bada bing, bada boom. There you go.
The house is sold. Things are just happening.
No worries.
Well, I wish I could get myself to believe that. Gee. You know, I give it to the angels, and that's like I'm taking it.
Right. I think for you, if you can stay grounded, your anxiety level will go down tremendously. And I think when you get all your feathers ruffled, it's because you're not grounded.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I think as long as you can, you know, get some dark rocks, like, you know, having some shungite in your pocket, black kyanite, black tourmaline, you know, dark rocks that you can't see through, you know, that are grounding, and get you through this process. And once you get moved and reestablished, I think you'll be a lot better. But grounding is going to be your friend right now.
Yeah, thanks, Christia. I'm not my friend.
I only know because I've been going through my own stuff, and that's what I've been having to do. So I only know this out of my own personal issues. So don't think I know it all, because I don't. But I've been going through my own stuff, and I can laugh at myself now, but I've been having my own crazy issues, and grounding is the key.
Yeah.
I always say, judge not lest ye be judged.
Yeah.
But, I can easily see your stuff only because I've been in it.
It helps when you've experienced something other people are saying, because then you definitely understand.
Well, and you empathize. I mean, I can feel you because I'm an empath, but then and I can really empathize with it. And I feel like your little child, the inner child, is really excited to move, but also I feel like she's the one that kind of stirs you up, gets you all off kilter, so to speak. And if you can give her something to do, like, set her underneath a tree, looking at butterflies or something, but keep her busy, I think it'll help you with the move as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Send her to the tree.
Well, speaking of trees and angels, I was out in the back of the property where we have a place where we call the Merkabah. Really sacred kind of space because we've done so much sacred stuff there. And one night I was out there by myself, and all of a sudden I was aware that there was a huge presence. That when I turned to look to see what it was, I was looking at a tree that was there. And I'm going, what? And I'm like realizing that the tree is taking on an enormous amount of energy. And I kind of looked at this tree and I said, who are you? And I hear this voice, Metatron. And I went, Metatron. I said, why are you pretending to be a tree or in a tree? He said, well, why not?
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, it's pretty impressive, I have to tell you that.
Well, Metatron is right now, I say he, but that energy, Lord Metatron, Archangel Metatron, is the divine director right now of what's going on with our planet. So if he's coming to you, that's no small thing. No small thing at all.
Well, did I tell you the story about maybe you know about it, about the 5 angels that came to visit? This was all around 2012. Now, this is such a strange story. Around 2012. Jean Rockefeller says to me, "You want some angels?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "Well," she said, "this friend of mine sent me these 5 archangels, and they come and they spend 5 days with you. I think it's 5 days." And she said, "But when they leave, you have to give them 3 other people to go see." And, well, that's the strangest chain thingy I've ever seen. But anyway, it was Jean Rockefeller asking, so I said, yeah, okay, whatever. Having absolutely no... I mean, if Jean hadn't been the one to ask me, I wouldn't have done it. But okay, I play the game. So you have to do all this kind of preparation stuff. You had to have a white flower. You had to have a white candle. You had to open up the door at like 10:45 on the day that they were supposed to be there. It was very, very specific stuff. So I go through all this stuff, and then I kept forgetting. I kept forgetting about, I'm supposed to open this door at 10:45. I don't know what the consequences are if I don't. But so I start to get a little bit like, oh my God, I got to pay attention to the clock because I'm not a clock watcher. And sure enough, I get on it at 10:45, and I open up the door expecting to see absolutely nothing. I opened up the door, and standing in front of me were 5 archangels.
Oh my God!
I was like, oh, this is interesting. Now, interestingly enough, 2 of them were on the ground, but 3 of them were kind of fluttering. 3 of them were on the ground, 2 of them were kind of fluttering around. You didn't really see the wings. I mean, it was like even the ones that were fluttering were sort of like floating more than flying. They were flying. So I go, whoa, and they were big. And I'm going like, I don't know that you're going to fit in the house. And they started laughing. And they said, no, we can get little. I said, oh, okay. So I just turned around, and I'm like kind of perplexed, but I walk into the house, and I can feel that there's an energy, a massive energy forces walking in the door. And so I spent 5 days with the archangels. And, yes, I saw miracle after miracle. I saw them levitate bags of cement. I saw myself give myself a cut that went to the bone, and they healed it within a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. Just one thing after another. They are very funny. It's Metatron, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. And so I send them off to somebody else. I don't even know who I sent them to.
To me. Yes, they came to me.
Oh, that's right, Lee. Lee was involved. I sent them to Lee. And then I sent them to Jean, and then Jean sent them back to me. And finally, the 3rd time they came back, I said, this is really kind of silly. I said, do you want to just consider this your home, and if you need to take a break, you can come here anytime, because I'm just not going to send you off to anybody else. And so they agreed, and so then we decided that we needed to have something that would be like an anchor for them, or a lock-in type of thing, something that I could focus on, and I'd always know they were there. So we planted 5 trees. And so, yeah, the archangels are always here. And Lee,
wow.
Now Lee, you tell your story, because, and interestingly enough, Nora Willow in Saudi Arabia at the time ended up hearing about the same thing and participating. But she said, oh, I didn't exactly participate. I said, so you didn't get into it? And she said, I think she said, no, not really. But I don't remember the exact story, because we were so kind of stunned that both of us on the other sides of the earth at the same time. Because it was all December of 2012 that this happened. So, but Lee, what was your experience?
Well, I have to be honest. I don't remember all of it. I remember the sense of the presences. It definitely felt as though there was something going on those 5 days. There was a sense of vastness. I keep Michael in the yard anyway, because I feel the need to yell for him pretty regular. Grateful to the last storm, it completely cleaned my Michael. But there was definitely, each night we would, as the instructions said, we'd open the doors and welcome them in for the evening. And there was definitely a sense of sacredness and a sense of power to the whole thing. Even though it seemed kind of ludicrous, it was, I have to say, it was a thing. Much like that game show Thing or No Thing, I think it was a thing. I didn't have the same experience in the sense that they were overwhelming to me, but there was definitely a sense of power. And, of course, I too let them know they were welcome here on this property whenever they chose to be here. Metatron, he's a little overwhelming to me. I'll back up into Melchizedek, but yeah, Metatron's a little overwhelming. Michael was family, but I said there was definitely a presence that arrived, whatever the word would be, each evening, and there was definitely an absence at the completion of the cycle. So it was very cool, and it's neat that you remember it was 12. I didn't remember when that was, but I was thinking about that the other day too.
Well, the one of the funniest things that happened with them is I don't even remember what started it, but I said something about, well, maybe Michael should handle it or something. And the three others, not Metatron, but these three others, they went, this Michael, he's always getting the press. Everybody goes to Michael. What's wrong with us? I never expected archangels to be, exhibiting jealousy. It was like,
well, they were being funny.
They were being funny.
They're being funny.
Yeah.
Because they're hilarious.
They are. They have a sense of humor that doesn't quit. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really crazy.
I know. I'm not muted. Okay. I just thoroughly enjoy my angels. They even tell me, Dolly, will you just calm down or chill out? And it pulls me up, and I stop and think, do angels talk that way? And they say, of course we do. They crack me up.
Jan Moore had a guest on last week, and she was telling how when she was a kid, she could talk to Jesus. And that she said something to one of these nuns or whatever, about talking to Jesus, and the nun said, only priests talk to Jesus, you can't talk to Jesus. And she commented, she says, I don't know why I can't talk to Jesus. Okay, he doesn't look like most Jesuses. He's got a Grateful Dead t-shirt on. But why can't I talk to him?
Oh, my God, I love it. That is priceless. That is priceless.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I tell people, if they're working in something 3D, angels are great. But if they're really trying to manifest something in the physical, Jesus is your go-to guy because he's been physical. Angels traditionally have never been physical. Whereas Jesus, he knows what a 3D crapshoot this place can be. And he knows, he's been physical. So I always tell people if there's something you really want to manifest, Jesus, if you don't have an issue with Jesus, Jesus is your go-to guy because he will give you really practical 3D advice. I have found it very beneficial to, if I've got something that I don't know how to make it work in the 3D, I'll actually propose it to him and say, well, what do you think about this? And I might sleep on it or meditate on it, and I will get, if I don't physically hear him, then I'll get the idea, or somebody will communicate, he will talk through somebody else, and I'll get the idea, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
One of my brothers, he said, he's fully grown man. He's in his 50s now. And he said one day, he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "if it wasn't for Jesus, I probably would have gone to jail." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, you know, a lot of friends of mine, they ended up in jail." He said, "But I believed in Jesus, and I knew that he knew everything I was going to do, so I didn't do any of that bad stuff." Jesus is watching.
I think that way too.
I wonder how many people turned out good just because they thought Jesus was watching them.
Oh my God.
Well, you know, when I was little, well, I had to be young teen, like maybe 13. And I was laying in bed, and I started thinking about Jesus and dying on the cross and how they put nails through his hands and his feet. And then this guy, after all his suffering, and his arms are going up, and this guy stabs him in the ribs. And I was crying and sobbing and saying, "I'm so sorry that happened." I literally felt the bed go down. Somebody sat on the side of my bed, took my hand in theirs, and I know it was Jesus. I just knew it was Jesus.
Yeah.
And he said, "It's okay, I love you." And I said, "I love you so much, and I'm so sorry you had to do this. And why did you have to go through this? Why couldn't God just do things without you having to do that?" And so he stayed with me until he put me to sleep.
You say you're about 15?
I'd say 13, 14.
Huh. No, I can't say that I've ever seen Jesus. Santa Claus, yes, but not Jesus.
I didn't see him, I felt him.
Well, you held his hand. He held yours.
He held mine, yeah.
So you mean you felt him?
Yeah.
Back in, I think it must have been in 2010. I think it was 2010. It was Easter Sunday, and I had an experience in the garden with Jesus. And I brought through a Christ light activation, helping people, activate the Christ light inside them through him. It's pretty special, that light. But we all have the ability to have that Christ light in our hearts. It's really powerful stuff. Before we go, I know we're getting close. I just wanted to say out live on the radio that it's the Muru bead contains the accumulated power of all the mantras performed. And Sanskrit Muru, it's M-E-R-U, means mountain. So the more you chant that bead on the end. And in a rosary, it's the Muru bead would be considered the cross at the end, or where I've got several rosaries where the little Mary would be that little middle bead.
Do you feel like doing either pulling a card or doing a chant or both?
I want to interrupt for 1 second.
Sure.
This is just a quickie kicking back to what Christia was saying a moment ago when she was talking about angels not being physical. One of the things that I try to remind folks about sometimes, there have been a lot of folks over the years that are channeling, and it's important to be clear that a lot of the entities that are channeling even now have never been physical. And so when they're giving you advice, when they're giving you input, whether you're reading it in a book or listening to it on YouTube or whatever, it's real important to be clear as to who has actually struggled through Earth plane, third dimension, who has actually worked with the parameters working under, and who's just pulling it out of their butts.
Well, you're making I always say, Lee, for people to use discernment, to use your own discernment when taking in any information of any kind. And I always say the information is only as clear as the channel. A lot of people out there are channeling things, but it doesn't, like you said, doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct information.
Yes.
And not for nothing, there are literally millions of other beings who want to come through us. Yes. And that does not mean that they're of the light. It does not mean that they are angels. They could be PTs. They could be, other dead people.
They could be discarnate beings who have nothing better to do to look for something cracked to come climbing through.
Right, exactly.
That's the warning about the Ouija boards.
Yes.
Just because somebody's discarnate does not make them a good person or a wise person.
Thank you.
We may have to do a talk on that someday, Christy, because too many people are too quick to jump on the bandwagon. Oh, it's a channeling. It must be good for me.
No. I seriously, in every class I teach, in everything I say, even when I do sessions with people, discernment. Please use your own instincts. Know yourself so that you know when you're taking in information, is it information for you? Is it truth for you? How does it feel to you? It's vital right now because there's anybody and their brother thinks they can channel and thinks they're bringing through people, and they may not even be bringing through anything that is aligned with love.
Right.
And if people aren't grounded and they're not clear, oh Lord be, crazy town. You're going to get crazy information. That's why it's so important for the individual, and people need to pull up the big boots, the big boy and girls boots, and get in their own power and learn to know themselves so that when they take in information, they can decide, is this true for me? Is this aligned with my personal truth? Is this aligned with my light? If it's not, wish it well and move on.
Yes.
The card I pulled is the Elemental Kingdom, Archangel Shashune. And the Elemental Kingdom, be it the Devas, the fairies, all the elementals of the earth. So I feel like this card is about people getting outside, connecting with the flowers, connecting with the trees. We've talked a lot about trees today. We've talked a lot about nature, and connecting to our true mother, the Mother Earth. Grounding. We've talked about grounding today. So hanging out with that. With that energy. I know we just got a few minutes left, so do we have time for me just to do a little bit of sound?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, so I'm just going to bring through a frequency, and this is just for your heart. That's what I'm feeling. The people need this for their heart. So here we go.
Thank you, Lee. Annette, we didn't hear much from you. Continue to have a great week. Dolly, love you very much. Be safe.
Love you too.
Love all the people out there. We appreciate you being with us. And right now, Haggie Shack, I think, is going to take over her stream. I am going to stream shows, replays of what we've been doing for the last week on Cosmic Reality Radio. So thank you all. I'll see you next time, and be safe.
Thank you, dear ones. Much love.
Love y'all.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
You've been listening to Say What on Haggie Shack Radio at HaggieShack.com and produced by Nancy L. Hopkins at Cosmic Reality Radio.